Now,
Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Prashant. We have another engaging session for all of you. And we all know that bringing other departments on board with data and analytics is vital for implementing successful programs. We also know how important it is to have the right strategy at the right time and the need for flexibility in today's ever-changing business environment. So I'm thrilled to present this panel discussion, which will explore that very topic, how data and analytics as a discipline and a function can win support from different partners and help them adapt to change. Before we welcome our panelists, I'd just like to remind you to submit your questions throughout the session, and we'll get to them in due course. And with that, I would like to introduce our host for today's panel discussion, Luis DiMaduno, who is the Chief Data Officer at Hartford Steam Boiler. Take it away, Luis.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to the session. Hopefully you can hear me all. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Luis DiMaduno and I'm the Chief Data Officer at Hartford Steam Boiler. We are a division, a reinsurance division, and engineering division of Munich Re. And I've been here for just over 3 years. Prior to that, I was with AXA in New York City on their life and annuity organization. And before that, I was through a number of consulting engagements. I'd like to introduce our fellow panelists this afternoon. And so what I'll do is I'll go ahead and just give an intro and let them go ahead and give them their own backgrounds. So I'll go ahead and I'll start with Julia. Please go ahead.
Thanks, Luis. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Always worried. So I work at Haven Life. I am the lead for actuarial engineering and advanced models. So building actuarial software as well as integrations with kind of data science elements across the board. Before joining Haven Life, where I've been for about 2 years, I also was at AXA, where I worked closely with Luis. I worked on the annuity side, modeling variable annuity policyholder behavior.
Great. Well, thank you for joining the panel today. I'll go ahead and introduce our next panelist is Maina. Maina, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yes. Hi, everyone. This is Maina, and I'm the lead data scientist at Indelian, which is an IT professional services company. So my main responsibility is really to work with different clients from different industry and then create customized data science solutions for them. I am a frequent conference speaker. I speak at both US conferences as well as international conferences. I have a heavy consulting background. For my last company, I also work at a consulting firm leading the wealth analytics team. My academic background is I have a Master of Data Science degree from NYU and then double major in mathematics and economics from Scott College. So I'm happy to share my thoughts and also my project experience here today. But if you have any additional questions, you can definitely reach me on LinkedIn.
Thank you for joining us, Maina. And our third panelist along is Todd. Todd, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Todd, can't hear you. No? No, Todd? Is anyone here, Todd? Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll get started, and hopefully we can get our communications with Todd back up and running. So on today's panel, we're going to be discussing engagement with different partners as senior data and analytics professionals and adapting to change in today's turbulent times. Without further ado, we'll jump into our first question of the day, and I will pose this to Julia initially. So Julia, how can we align our company's organization and data goals in a fast-moving business environment where business priorities change so quickly?
Yeah, that's a great question, particularly, now, especially. I think I'd answer in three parts, and I certainly wouldn't pretend to say that I have like the answer, the end all be all. But the way I would think about it is one about kind of vision for your company, one about, how do we accelerate our delivery of value as a data organization? And then thirdly, just sometimes you have to accept the reality. So on the vision side, I think, priorities change, but having a real clear sense of vision about what your broader organization's mission is really helpful in clarifying what are we here for. So at Haven Life, we're oriented around of making life less hard. So all of the things we do are kind of like laser focused on making it easier to acquire and get insurance coverage. So while our like moment to moment priorities may vary by the kind of contingencies of the moment or exigencies of the moment, having that kind of clear sense of vision and sense of purpose means that layer by layer, kind of every activity is contributing to the same long-term goal, which brings me to kind of my next point, which is, accelerating our delivery of value. I think as data organizations and data science organizations, and this is a great thing, there's a strong presence of people with academic backgrounds who are used to kind of a sense of like, we're gonna get all this work, it's gonna be really tidy, I'm facing kind of a lot of pressure from a peer review, or I wanna make sure it's really nicely well wrapped up. And so we tend to backload the value of delivery from these kind of advanced data projects. And I think that there's something that we can learn from our kind of friends on the software side around kind of continuous delivery and delivering, some small part of the value earlier and kind of continuously, so that even as like the moment to moment priorities change, the project is still already kind of in the black in terms of like where it stands on investment versus value. And then like the third thing is like, I'm not going to stand here and pretend that like sometimes things aren't crazy and that like sometimes that happens. Like you just have to kind of accept that and hope that your projects exist in a framework where, okay, we're going to put this down for a second, but we know that we can come back to it. We know we have the slack in the future that we can come back and it's going to be fine. And I think just, you sometimes have to accept that.
Great answer. Maina, did you have anything to add on to that?
Yes. I totally agree with Julia. Sometimes you have to accept whatever it is for the changing environment. But I think for me, there are two main things I really wanted to focus on when the business environment has been changing a lot, especially under the current circumstance. So first thing is really we need very effective communication across different teams, because for a data science project, it usually involves different things, including the data, technology, the business side. Maybe for finance, it even involves the compliance, regulatory side. So we really need to focus on like what kind of communication techniques will be very effective when we set up the overall analytics or the data roadmap for the entire organization. We can utilize different software tools like MDM, data log tools to support rich detail around the quality and the content of the data. And then I think like in terms of setting the entire analytics or data roadmap for the organization, we should always take several key factors into consideration. We need a unified data platform, data cleansing and integration solution. We also would need like big data analytics capability as well as like data security. And then on the other side, I think we know the data or the data we are collecting or we are analyzing will be changed from time to time today or even more frequent. So when we were setting up the data infrastructure and the processing pipeline, we need to make sure like it will allow certain amount of flexibility. Meaning like the data infrastructure should always be well documented and should be expandable. I think like from the previous talk, the speaker has mentioned about a lot of companies are actually moving to the low-cost cloud storage and computing services, and I'm also seeing that trend for a lot of my different clients. And then for another perspective for the infrastructure is, I know we talk about ETL a lot, right? Extract, transform, and load for data. But I feel like that concept is, I wouldn't say, oh, but that's not enough to support the current changing or the more and more complex the data analytics needs. Maybe what we would need is more, we need a complete data pipeline so that it will include not only ingesting the data modeling part, but also we will enhance the data based on its data quality, based on the nature of the data or the information that we are collecting. And then after that, we can transform it and deliver it to the pipeline that we want it to be delivered. And I think that's my 2 points for aligning the organization and the data goals in a fast-changing, moving business environment.
Thank you, Maina. And I'll add my 2 cents on and actually dovetail into what Maina was just saying. The ETL component is a bit outdated because we've gotten to the point now where we have so much data that just loading it is not a option. We need a way to integrate it, and it's that integration step that happens after data is loaded through either a master data management strategy or some other matching type strategy that starts to leverage the data together and really starts to compound the value of the data going forward. And so, my answer to this question is really focused around the idea of you need a flexible data strategy. You need a capability, at least what I've seen in taking on the role of focusing just on the data for this organization, is that you need to be able to understand what are the priorities of bringing that data together. Why did we prioritize it that way? And you also need to continually communicate back to the business why they made those decisions. It's very easy for them to come up with a new idea and a new product and new initiative. But if you've got a large investment happening through a data strategy, there needs to be constant communication back to the business owners as to why did we make that investment? What is it that we're looking to get out of it? And yeah, it's not going to happen overnight, but we are on a path, and we need to continue down that path and not be diverted away from it so easily. So as those new initiatives come up, as new ideas come up, we need the flexibility to be able to evaluate them, but also to put them in line with the other initiatives that have already been really judged. With that, I would like to introduce Todd. Todd, are you there? Todd? Oh, we thought we had Todd. Maybe we don't have Todd yet. Okay, we'll. Sorry there. Now can you hear me? That's better?
Yes.
My mouth's moving, but nothing's coming out. We're working on trying to get Todd back in here. Todd, when you hear and when you give us a shout, we'll go ahead and we'll go over to you. The next question: in an increasingly uncertain economic climate, what role can data and analytics play to ensure that the right decisions are made? And so I'll go ahead and I'll go off on this. Having a climate like what we're experiencing literally today, we've got so many things that are influencing what's happening within our businesses that data and analytics, again, gives us opportunity to leverage historical information and really apply it to going forward. And so the challenges are, as things are changing so fast, the data that we have available may not be adequate in order to actually help to decide what it is that we're going to do next, because the change has impacted so much of what's happening in our businesses that we may not have enough information to really make a good judgment or decision based on our predictive or prescriptive capabilities of the data that we have. And so, the challenge there is then, we've got the opportunity to try different scenarios and really start to model truly what are the potential outputs or outcomes based on, what it is that we are seeing happening around us. So there's plenty of data that's being captured today. We've got plenty of sensors out there, that are live on people's wrists, that are essentially picking up information in the areas of our streets, for that matter. And with all that data available, the challenge then is getting access to it, integrating it into your data populations, and then really trying to, with a new model that would really adhere to some of the changes that we are seeing in this economic climate. With that being said, I'll go ahead and I'll turn it over to Maina. Do you have any comments on this question?
Yes. So I think for the increasing uncertainty for the economic climate change, I do agree with you about the fact that maybe our current model is not enough, or the data we are collecting right now is not enough to predict what's going on, or predicting the next action, or predicting whether your customer will increase the usage or decrease the usage. So for us, data scientists, we should really take the model drifting issue into consideration, because I think for economic changes, yes, it has patterns. It happens at different times, and it happens because of maybe political or economic issues. But really, we can try to predict, or at least using the major events changes, the signals, to be incorporated into our predictive modeling. And also for a productionized machine learning model, we should always have an automated module for automated model testing and retraining whenever, let's say, the model's evaluation metrics doesn't meet its expectation. So if we have those kind of modules adopted into the production environment, then we can avoid the model to be predicting wrong or not accurate results into the system. And then the data scientists or the data engineers could look into the models in time. And then another fact is that we should also take a look at a lot of different factors that might impact the general economic. So for example, people can actually derive a lot of marketing sentiments based on whatever people is saying on social media, or based on what the media or the news are talking about. We can adopt natural language processing techniques to extract the key terms, and also to predict what will be the general public's attitudes towards those major events when they are happening. And another thing is, we can utilize the historical market data or the historical data to understand whether there is some seasonality or patterns for the economic volatility. And I think people have been conducting a lot of research in that area already. But with the advancement of data science techniques, with the improvement of all different time series analysis techniques, I do believe we can achieve better results in terms of predicting those economic volatility.
Thank you. Thank you. And Julia, do you have any comments on this question?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with everything you both have said. My answer is definitely far more squishy. I think it really kind of comes down to there's a lot going on right now. There's a lot of volatility. There's a lot of just like kind of scary headlines. And I think our profession as people whose job it is to, I don't know, pick your favorite like book title of like signal versus noise or causation or correlation's not causation, but like it is our job to kind of keep our eye on like what's the kind of true thing that we should be seeing and what's kind of just static. And so I think that muscle that we've spent a career building up puts us in a really good position to be like, okay, but if we kind of look at what's actually showing up in the data, what's not just, oh my goodness, XYZ happened, so I need to start Googling life insurance, or I need to start Googling this, which could drive up different like kind of market indicators if you look at, you know, AdWord costs, but really to kind of keep an eye on what's kind of the core truth here. And that helps you kind of make recommendations for business decisions that are, again, like aligned to like a long-term strategic value. You tend to lose out a little bit on reacting to the moment, and you know being the dog that caught the bus, I guess. But I think it's a place where our skill set is kind of uniquely suited to help us, you know, step.
Great. Okay. Good answer. Thank you very much. So we're going to go to a poll. We're going to go to an audience poll. And so our first audience poll is, has COVID-19 changed the priorities of data and analytics over the last few months at your organization? And so your responses are completely. Our business priorities have changed hugely, and data analytics has been a huge part of that. Or our business priorities have changed, but data and analytics has not been involved more than before. Or our business priorities have changed somewhat, and data analytics has been involved. Or our business priorities have changed somewhat, but data analytics has not been involved. Has not been involved. Or our business priorities have changed very little. So go ahead and take a moment and select on the screen if you can.
So Louis, this is Todd. I don't know if you guys can hear me.
I can hear Todd. I hope everyone else can as well. So Todd, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself while we're waiting for the results to come in.
Thank you, Louis. Apologies for the technical difficulties. I was able to call in, so hopefully the webcam will be back up soon. But so my name is Todd Layman. I'm the Chief Actuary and Chief Analytics Officer at Quincy Mutual Insurance Group. Quincy Mutual is a regional U.S. P&C insurer. We write mostly personal lines, but a lot of commercial lines as well. And I've been in the industry for since I graduated almost 30 years ago. And from college, I was an actuary by training, and grew into roles of product management, managing teams of both underwriting folks and policy informed folks, and then getting into data and analytics. And I've been in that space really since probably for the last 15, 20 years. And prior to joining Quincy Mutual, I managed a team of data scientists and actuaries who were doing research functions, predictive modeling, business intelligence, and that analytics work for One Beacon Insurance Group. And we were focused on specialty commercial risks. And so it's been a lot of fun as a career, and happy to join everyone today.
Great. Well, thanks for joining us, Todd. And so it looks like we got some results. And let's see here. Looks like the well, not over, I guess overwhelming, yeah, more than a third, completely. Our business priorities have changed hugely, and data and analytics have been a huge part of that. So that's great to hear. We've all got good job security maybe going forward. So with that being said, let's go on to our next question. How has COVID-19 changed the priorities and perceptions of risk and data over the last few months? And what are the implications of this? And so, Todd, I'll go ahead and I'll turn that over to you for your comments first. Todd, you still with us?
Yes. Sorry about that.
Okay. No, you're on.
So,
go ahead.
So you know, a lot has changed with COVID-19, obviously, and the risk and data aspects of everything that we've done has kind of been tested in a lot of different ways. You know, first of all, at a high level, I would say we have a corporate, you know, risk capital model that we use to evaluate the riskiness of all our assets and lines of business and such. And, you know, with the shock to the equity markets, you know, the first test for us was, you know, was the risk capital model, did it contemplate scenarios like what we had in terms of the shock of the investments? And we felt good about that. There were scenarios that we had developed stochastically that kind of aligned with what happened. So we felt like, okay, you know, this is something we have in theory planned for it, and so that gave us some confidence. Business intelligence became critical though, at a much more frequent micro level than what it had been before. Like before, maybe we were looking at reports on a weekly and monthly basis or quarterly basis. And we started looking at everything at a daily level, at a weekly level, as environments were changing overnight. Literally, you know, everything changed overnight. And so we were monitoring, you know, claims calls, customer service calls, you know, our sales, you know, quotes, how often customers are going to our website, all those types of things that, you know, we kind of looked at and evaluated. We were intensely focused on all those things like on a daily basis, and we had them. And things have backed off a little bit, but having that data and that business intelligence data gave our management team and our managers a lot of confidence that we were able to see what was going on and know what was changing, how was it changing, and what magnitude. So, you know, from that sense, it's been scary because there has been change and it's unprecedented. But at the same time, I I feel like, you know, our tools were given a chance to shine in a way that hadn't been shown before.
Great to hear. Maina, do you have any additional comments on that?
Yeah. I think for me, as I mentioned before, Indelian is a IT professional service company. So what we have observing is all more from a third-party perspective. So what we have observed from our clients is that their business priorities have changed a lot. And then we, as consultants, we have been engaged in different conversations to discuss how to reorganize or how to reprioritize the different business goals as well as use cases under the current circumstance. The clients have also become more careful in terms of the investment in data science projects. I mean, I know, like, based on the poll results, people are saying, oh, we are using data analytics or data science more when under the current circumstance. But I think another factor is that people are more careful under the current economic circumstance because they wanted to make sure they will get enough support from the business leaders. They will also get enough return on investment whenever we are conducting the data science project. So in order to figure out like how to gain the best results on the investment in data science project, before we kick off the project, now we are trying to help the clients to measure and predict the costs and the benefits of different use cases, different data analytics use cases, so that even before we start the POC or even before we start the project, the client will have a pretty accurate understanding of how long the project will take, and then what will be the actual economic benefits after we implement this solution into the production environment. And if we didn't meet that expectation, we need to figure out, okay, so what's the next steps to actually get the data analysis solution to be back on track? So I think we should have a pretty reasonable or understanding or view about implementing data science applications, especially under the current circumstance. And from this, I think we should also learn to avoid investing or wasting your money onto the data science projects that will not actually contribute to your company's revenue or improve the business management in the long term.
Great answer. Julie, did you have anything else to add? Julia? Julia, are you there? Okay, hopefully everyone can hear me. And so I'm going to keep, okay, thanks, Mina. So I'm going to go to another poll question. What's the level of trust in AI and machine learning in your organization? I think after that last question, we heard some comments from both Mina and Todd specifically around how they've, found some newfound trust and or expanded trust in what it is that they're able to provide to the organization with their data and models. So what is the level of trust in AI in machine learning in your organization? Excellent. We have a solid ROI and the level of trust is high. Good. We are improving ROI and the level of trust is improving. Average. We are working on ROI and the level of trust is okay. Poor. We are struggling to prove ROI and there is a low level of trust. Or the last one, we're not working on any AI or machine learning programs. And so while that is being filled out, let's go to the next question, and then we'll come back to the results of that poll. How can we increase organizational trust in AI and machine learning? Likely an unfamiliar area for most employees. Are data science education programs the most effective way to do this? And so, Maina, why don't you go first on this?
Yeah, sure. So I think I can talk about this from two perspectives. One is when you want to help the organization internally to understand the benefits or to establish the trust in data science and AI. The other side is how do you help a third-party company, meaning as a consultant, how do I help clients to establish more trust? So the first side internally is definitely, I think, setting up some data science education program is one of the most effective ways to deepen employees' general knowledge in AI and machine learning. Because during those kind of sessions, I will usually provide a lot of basic understanding or basic concepts about data science. And then people can, or the employees can ask questions about what is actually data science and how it can be implemented across the organization, across different teams. And also when you gather different people from different teams and discuss on the same topic, usually the knowledge will compound upon each other, and then people can also help each other to deepen the understanding more. And then from a client perspective is how do we establish trust in clients when they don't really have a good understanding of how data science or how data analytics solution works. What we usually do is we will conduct a POC project, a proof of concept project, to showcase the impact and effectiveness of data science projects. Of course, we would need to first understand what the client is most concerned about. What are the key metrics that he or she really wanted to improve using the data science concepts? And after we understand their business goals, their technical goals, as well as what kind of technical solutions do they want, then we will start to build a POC for them so that the POC will not only provide the key stakeholders with more confidence, but also it can showcase their employees to understand like what could be achieved by AI and machine learning, and what will be the conceptual essential outcome of those machine learning models, and even like based on the sample machine learning model results, the clients can utilize those model results to testify whether those are effective or not. And that is one of the most frequent ways that we help the clients understand the data science values. But and one other thing I have also always done for my clients is to set up workshops, like a 2 to 3 day workshops, so that as consultants, we meet with different stakeholders from the client's side and then talk about like all different teams' business goals, and then help them to set up the overall data analytics strategy, set up the detailed analytics roadmap, so that they will know what could be achieved and what will be the actual impact and cost for those different use cases.
Great. Julie, did you have any comments on this? No, still no Julie. Okay, Todd, how about you? Are you there?
Sure. Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can. Go right ahead.
All right, awesome. Okay, so I have a couple thoughts on this and kind of the two different aspects of the answer. How do we increase organizational trust in AI, machine learning techniques? It is often an unfamiliar area for a lot of people in the organization, especially when we're getting started. And so I guess maybe it's common sense, but being realistic about setting expectations about what the goal of the project is. And I think, like what Nina was saying, starting with a focused use case for a particular project and getting that off the ground is really important to build, credibility and comfort with the newer techniques. And so, when we've done that, we've incorporated some AI predictive analytics scoring models and try to embed them in the use of our underwriting and marketing process to evaluate agents. And so as we rolled that out, I think we communicated exactly what the project was, what it was designed to do, and then as it rolled out, we shared with the stakeholders what the results were, and so it felt like it was an iterative process to get feedback from the stakeholders, and I think spending time with stakeholders, showing them the results, being able to explain the results as you move through showing them the deliverables was really critical. So I think that helped build the trust with the non-technical folks that had lots of business expertise, but weren't familiar with gradient boosting machines and other types of machine learning techniques, and really kind of selling them on the value of the AI software that we were using was helpful in that regard, because we spent a lot of time with them to make sure that they understood what was happening when and what that looked like. So
go ahead.
Yeah, in terms of the data science education programs, we have had managers that have earned like the AIDA designation from the institutes, and I think that has helped broaden some of the interest and expertise in the non-technical areas like that, we've had some claims managers and some underwriting managers do that. And I think in large companies, they have excellent training programs on data science and what it is that you're looking for and getting out of. The CAS, the Actuarial Society, has an institute, the CAS Institute, that's developed a credential actually for data scientists. So, when I was managing a team of data scientists, that type of industry credential is helpful, certainly towards hiring data scientists, and then I think in our industry a lot of credentials and things like that are part of the process. Part of people have their CPCUs and their actuarial designations and such, and so there are industry programs that are being developed for data scientists that can help with that.
Okay, thank you very much. So we've got the results of our last poll in, and it looks like a nice normal distribution. Looks like good and average are leading the way as far as what's the level of trust in AI and machine learning in your organization. So again, that's great to see that it's definitely skewing towards the high trust is high, at least beyond the average. So good to see there. We've got a few minutes left, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to take some questions from the audience. And so let's see, Mesa, you've got some questions for us?
Yes, I got some questions. So the first one that we got is, what role does legacy and historical data that may not be in digital format play in feeding analytic models today to augment more recent data?
So, Julia, I think you're back with us. Do you want to take that first?
Oh, thanks, Liz. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, nice question. So just to make sure I understand, so legacy non-digitized data, like things such as like paper apps or old lab slips, I think those definitely play a role. I think you're kind of walking into two paths. I think if you think about some of the like open form questions that could have been on old paper applications, those actually can really kind of inform some more like subjective decisions around like, how do we need to think about the occupations that we're going to like pre-populate? Does even this need to be an open text question anymore? And kind of from a more user experience perspective, I think in terms of like legacy lab slips, digitizing them is obviously important so that you can kind of incorporate them back into your data set. I think one of the things that probably most of the folks in this panel have spent some time thinking about is putting together kind of a trajectory or a lifespan of a single kind of individual or case across time, and having the ability to match, like, this is this person's first application. I should mention Haven is fully owned by MassMutual, so we do actually have this problem. So this is this person's first application with us. It dates back to the 80s or so, versus we want to tie it to, the annuity application they had this year. So I think you traverse kind of two paths, one from kind of a more experienced perspective and one from a pure data perspective, but there's absolutely like value to that, more than just like, oh, we have to keep it because the audit tells us so. Which is also
great.
A good
Todd, do you have any thanks, Julia. Todd, do you have any comments on usage of non-digital data?
Yeah, I guess we aren't really using non-digital data. What we're trying to do is get things from that non-digital format into a digital format, and so that we can use it. And I think even that can be somewhat difficult. It's one thing to, I think we have a number of documents and things in say PDF format. So we digitized in that direction, but then going from the PDF to actionable data where it's, you've got optical character recognition and things like that, where you can take the PDF and put it into something that's searchable and actionable is a challenge too. So it's one thing to get everything on PDF, but then to pull it into a workable format that you can make use of is that's where we're at in that journey. But I do see us continuing over time to transfer things from a non-digital format to a digital format and then into an actual data analysis format.
And Mano, what do you tell all your customers what to do with their stacks and stacks of paper?
Yeah, I think I do have something to say about this because I did have been asked by a very large insurance company before because they wanted to build an intelligent OCR system because OCR is not new. We know we can actually translate or convert those PDFs or those documents into some kind of digital format, but to ensure the accuracy of the OCR system or to actually recognize what parts or what part of the text belong to certain questions, how can we classify the different documents and extract the key terms are a very hot topic right now in the NLP area as well as deep learning. For example, a lot of data scientists are actually adopting deep learning models to extract the key information or to classify different images into text or digitized format. And we have also helped our clients to actually analyze those handwritten receipts to detect if there is any abnormal activities based on the receipt. And for insurance, I know a lot of claims or a lot of those medical records are actually handwritten. So it is very important for the insurance companies or the overall industry to actually figure out the best way to convert those historical papers in digitized format. Because I think the changes in if we think about a patient or if we think about the different applications in the insurance industry, the changes in the different states of the company or the business side, or even for the insurance company, is very critical for us to follow. And then those will also indicate a lot of key factors that will impact the business, the fundamental factors for the insurance industry. For example, if one specific policy changes, then all of the insurance companies has to adapt to that policy change. So I think to monitor the historical changes of those policies is important, and it will be very helpful for different insurance companies to adapt to the business model more and to earn more money. Yeah.
Thank you, Maina. So with that, I have to conclude today's panel. Thank you so much to the panelists for their insights and to the audience for the questions. I hope you enjoyed today's panel and found it useful. And so now I'll hand it back to Mesa from Corinium.
Thank you, Louis. Thank you to all of our panelists, Julia, Mina, Todd, and to our previous speakers for today, Prashant, and yesterday, Chris and Tom, and to our sponsors, Data Robot and Indeliant. And with that, we draw to a close the first ever Data Champions Online Insurance. Thank you too to our audience for committing our time to join us and for all of your engagement in the form of speaker questions, polling responses. We hope you found the event to be a highly valuable use of your time. Don't forget to download any final pieces of content before you log off, and also be reminded the sessions will be available on demand for you to view again in your own time or to share with your colleagues who haven't been able to join us. We hope to be with you in person soon for DCO Insurance. But for now, thank you again for joining us and have a fantastic rest of your week.